I have not been this angry in a very, very long time. Okay, little background. You're going to see me extremely spicy, and I don't get spicy on a lot of things, but pertaining to liars, manipulation from the medical system, manipulation from anyone, and people that very clearly have the Dunning-Kruger effect, thinking they have a level of expertise in something that they are insufficient in and lack complete awareness about it. That stuff gets me indignant, especially when it can harm others or potentially harm others. So a little background with me. I keep saying that I'm writing and editing. Yes, I edit other people's material. I do some writing for favors. It's not a career path, but it's a passion projects and favors for other people. But I have 2 books that I've completed that I have not pulled the trigger on publishing because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes down to how I want to be perceived. And the length of these books are both in the 400-page mark. So I'm trying very hard to edit these down. And I think at this point, I'm going to give myself a couple of days and just go ahead and publish these things. Because the book that I'm currently editing now is on eating disorders. I have a lot to say about it because I suffered from severe eating disorders for 22 years. When God restored my mind, this is when I was open to learning about neuroplasticity, Jesus Christ, everything that has to do with hypervigilance, psychology, all these deep dives that I did. And because I'm a perfectionist pertaining to wanting to know things correctly, which stems from trauma growing up and hypervigilance growing up, the need to do things right and do them correctly. I've let that go in a lot of different areas, but when it comes to research, I am extremely detail-oriented because you have to be able to catch the differentiating factors. You have to be able to catch when societies and industries are speaking out of both sides of their mouth. You have to, the devil is always in the details. So when it comes to information that is being disseminated throughout America that people blindly accept, I don't blindly accept anything. I dive in deep. With eating disorders, I have 22 years of experience of what it's like in the mind of someone with an eating disorder, as well as 20 years, almost 20 years, fully cured and recovered. Being completely transparent with what goes on in the mind of someone when they are in a severe eating disorder or any eating disorder. And I'm going to release the book because in an efforts to keep my thumb on the pulse, I still get emails from NEDA, National Eating Disorder Association. I did lobby work for them a long time ago, thinking I was doing something good. Let's hail for some research grants for eating disorders. And I went to the Michigan House of Representatives and I was honored for all of my efforts in eating disorder awareness and all these things. And what came of that was a big old nothing burger. NEDA's funding, they have these giant galas to get money for research. The research is not correct because it's everything that they base the statistics on and all the findings on is subjective because they only look into people that are in the disorder. And people that are in the disorder are not going to be honest with a lot of the things that are going through their mind, especially pertaining to their family. Family is largely part of the problem. And now you have all these books and all of these experts and all of these doctors and all of these unhealed eating disorder patients that just have a normal weight that are coming out and doubling down and saying, and adopting these ridiculous measures that are extremely dangerous, and make people actually sicker and more confused. So anyway, obviously you can see that I'm spicy. So I got an email from NEDA saying there was a webinar. What do parents say? How are you supposed to address children that have eating disorders? So this webinar was for parents. I am not a parent. But I want to keep my thumb on the pulse of what they are doling out now. And from minute 1, I was already steaming. I almost logged off after 3 or 4 minutes because I was so angry. I was so angry at what was being said. And but I want to finish what I start, so keep my thumb on the pulse. It just continuously got worse and worse and worse. This webinar was from a lady who works for this No Diets dietitian thing. I looked, as I'm listening to this webinar, I'm looking up that website and I'm looking at the staff. I find her, and she is a certified dietitian. She is a nutritionist. But everything in that hour-long webinar sounded like she knew her stuff in mental health therapy, like she was a therapist. Now, I don't know about you, but I have to go on video and I have to tell my clients I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, I am not a this, I am not a that. But this woman who is just a nutritionist, who's just supposed to be talking about nutrition, how to address nutrition with the child, is going on and on about definitive statements about this is how an anorexic deals with it. This is how, like she knows, like she's not qualified experientially like I am, and she's not qualified according to a college degree. Yet she is allowed to go on and tutor parents on how to be even more domineering towards their children in eating disorders, which drove these people to eating disorders in the first place. I am utterly gobsmacked of what is going, like I stopped associating with NITA anyway because they've taken some of my talking points and poo-pooed it, and then decades later finally found, oh yes, we are going to link with personal trainers for eating disorder treatment, something that I brought up in 2015, which I was poo-pooed away. They got all of their little pictures taken with me. I made them look good, and I led the meetings at the Senate, talking to senators, because of the way I present, very to the point and non-boring, I would like to think. So I was good enough to get senators' attentions and to get photo ops with, but when it came to my actual ideas coming from the unicorn survivor, I am not supposed to be here. By every measure of what the medical industry has to say, I should not be here. I went through all the nonsense this lady said pertaining to this. She is missing the forest for the trees and instructing parents to be even more of a problem. To say that eating disorders is a genetic predisposition is malarkey. It's malarkey. How are you doing these tests? Are these people that are fully cured? Oh no, you don't interview and you don't take tests of people that are fully cured. You take tests and brain scans of people that are in the disorder when they are malnourished. Then you're going on and saying that eating disorder patients lack empathy because they have lack of nutrition, which flies in the face of actual fitness data and the Nobel Prize winning Yoshi report that came out about fasting and how neuroplasticity actually is increased through fasting. But no, this woman says no, the neural fibers, the synapses like come to a complete halt when you're in an eating disorder. People with eating disorders lack empathy. Are you kidding me? Categorically false. 90% of what I listened to was false and harmful for any patient that is going through. You want to know the down low on eating disorders. It stems from the family. It stems from the environment, not from social media, not from television. Children and adolescents need to find a coping mechanism in order to deal with the emotional upheaval and parentalizing and neglect from the family system. Largely, these family systems either have absent parents or a narcissistic family structure. The person with the eating disorder that doesn't know how to cope through lashing out like the rest of the members or manipulation like the rest of the members, they find something that they can just control themselves, that just affects themselves for the time being, and that would be food. People with eating disorders are highly empathetic. It is the fault of certain parties. It is the lack of autonomy one is allowed to have in a family structure. Yes, maybe it got concentrated on weight and food, but that's not what you concentrate on. You concentrate, if family members and parents really want to make the eating disorder patient go into remission or be cured, then the parents and the family members would go into deep therapy themselves. which was kind of funny because this woman actually asked, I think that everybody should go to therapy. You take them to therapy, but everyone should go to therapy and everyone should go to a nutritionist. And that's why, and sometimes there are multiple family members that have eating disorders, multiple children. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, because it's an abusive environment. And they probably copied what other sibling did because they found that that was a good coping skill. Other than drugs, other than drinking, other than promiscuous sex. The things that you can control as a kid and an adolescent. But this woman did ask, she was like, okay, for all you parents, how many of you guys go to a therapist? One hand went up out of hundreds. My point is proven right there. The eating disorder patient is the problem. Nothing wrong with the parents. You're doing everything right, parents. This is what this woman is saying. You can't win with the eating disorder patient because they're pretty much, she didn't say crazy, but she's painting them as crazy. Yet the eating disorder patient is going to therapy where they're telling you to name the eating disorder as a separate entity. Do they ask obese people to do that? No. Because it would be insane. But this is how they treat eating disorders. This is why I wrote the book. And I guess I really needed to watch that webinar today because I've been dragging my feet on releasing this thing, thinking it's not good enough, releasing my book. That it's not good enough, it's not good enough. And now I'm realizing how much it is needed. Because in order to address a problem, you have to identify what the problem is, not make assumptions. And from what I'm seeing from the most popular organization on eating disorders is they take money and they throw it at people for more social media positivity and surveys and screening tools as if any of that's going to help. They throw money at studies between transgenderism and eating disorders as if any of that makes a difference. And that doesn't perpetuate the stigma and the shame with eating disorders. They don't do anything good with this. We'll have an eating disorder walk to raise awareness for false information. But we've helped so many people. Have you? It seems like you're really not staying in contact with anybody who's been cured for 10, 15, 20 years and asking them to take surveys, asking them to reflect on their time to see what they think with a fully nourished mind after getting out of the family environment and have moved on to adulthood. You're not asking them what they were feeling going through that time. And I can guarantee you most of them that didn't buy into all of the nonsense of name your eating disorder, and they're going to sound an awful lot like me. Now, I work with people in eating disorders and people that have come out of eating disorders, and I call people out on their crap, and I call parents out on their crap. And the number one thing, which is in the book, the number one thing that I say when it comes to being cured from eating disorders is get out of the family environment. Move away. Move away. You need out of that system. Every single time that happens, guess what? Full remission, no relapse. You can have all the therapy in the world, you can have all the doctors in the world, you can have all the nutritionists in the world. I'm going to tell you right now, anybody who is suffering from eating disorders to the point where it is noticeable and detectable, it means they've been in it for longer than anyone thinks. So you can't nip it in the bud at that point. Those eating disorder patients know more about nutrition than any nutritionist on the planet. To instruct parents to use somebody's sport as leverage, you got to eat. Otherwise, we got to pull you out of your sport because it's going to be unsafe for you. Leverage and control. I'm just going to sit at the table with you. The nutritionist is the one that's making you eat. My job is to sit with you and support you. Sitting at the table and watching somebody eat. Control. What not to say. Don't say finish. You have to finish everything on your plate before you leave the table. You're not supposed to say that, according to this lady, yet. In eating disorder clinics, at least the one that I went to way back in the day, the rule was if you didn't eat everything on your plate, you had to sit and stare at your plate until lights out. The hypocrisy of the medical community. I think this might give you a little bit more insight of why I believe the medical industry is hogwash, and why the entire system is hogwash, because everything is insurance based. Everyone's pushing their own agenda. This webinar wasn't to help anybody. This webinar was, this woman, you could tell, really liked the attention, really liked feeling like she knew stuff and she was helping people, but it wasn't about actually helping people. It was about her getting attention and pushing her business, pushing nutritionists. Nutritionists are not needed. There is no point in having a nutritionist anymore. Everything is on your little smart device. What do you need a nutritionist for? What do you need a therapist for? What do you need a doctor for at this point? The computer can diagnose. The only thing you need doctors for now are prescriptions. And then again, if you do the research on that, you realize how harmful that is. So these are all just corrupt systems sniffing each other's butt, scratching each other's back, and still trying to keep the public bamboozled into this is the correct way of doing things when it is not the correct way of doing things. If the medical system was so great, especially in eating disorders, then why do all these ailments still exist? What's the need for all the pharmaceuticals? What is the need for all the therapy? What is the need for any of this? If it was effective, why do we still have all of these people that are dying from illnesses and drug overdoses and side effects and comorbidities if the medical system got anything right? This is why I went natural. You have to see what is reality. And I can't believe that people have bought into this. Now, again, on this whole webinar was for parents. At one point, this woman said it's very important for parents to get into their own group setting so they can support each other. And I'm literally thinking to myself, great. Most likely a narcissistic family structure, getting in group with other narcissistic family structures so they can just reaffirm each other that they're great and doing nothing wrong, and further villainizing the eating disorder patient. Real nice. Nobody is saying what the reality is. There is not a genetic predisposition. There is not. Just like there is not a genetic predisposition to alcoholism. Everything is a choice based on coping mechanisms. Some people have an addictive personality. Why? Trauma-based. Escape measures. Coping mechanisms. Pick your habit or your drug of choice here. Food, gambling, sex, overworking, over-exercising, drugs, alcohol. Pick. Scrapbooking, Instagram scrolling. All of this is for comfort. It's for self-soothing. But you can demonize a few here and not demonize a few here. Treat them all differently. And I'm just sitting here going, this is a spiritual issue. This is they're not even getting the neurology right on these things. They're not even getting the neurology right on these things. This is what is baffling to me. It's people that went to college, they're getting indoctrinated with false information, coming out and further perpetuating the false information, and then people like me who refuse to comply to getting the letters behind my name because I will not conform to that system. I will tell the truth. I would not be able to sleep at night having to adhere to the perimeters of the medical hierarchies. You can say this, you can't say this. This is what the studies say. You can't ask questions and you can't analyze the studies the way they need to be analyzed. You just have to go along to get your paycheck. To look like you know more than everyone else. I got a specialty in this. Well, guess what? Reluctant expert channel. Why? Reluctantly having expertise. 22 years in eating disorders, 55 pounds in a wheelchair with heart catheter. I think that gives me a little bit of expertise on what goes on in the mind of someone with an eating disorder. Psychology, you need a little degree? No, psychology is a big old, if you ask me. This is a spiritual sickness. People are either evil or they're empathetic. That's it. You get to pick. Everybody has the option to go either way. We are human, but even being evil or empathetic is a choice. You can turn it on and off. It's not psychology. It's spiritual. It's responses to trauma, responses to abuse. You're either the abuser or the abusee. This is how it works in the world. You're either an empathetic person or a narcissist. That's it. What are you at the core? But who am I? I've done all the deep dives and tried to figure myself out for 40-something years while I was in the disorder and after coming out of the disorder. And I was like, this is a bunch of horse crap. A bunch of horse crap. When an industry is telling somebody to name their illness, name your illness. This also is in my book, and I don't care if I'm giving it away. Name your illness. Do you ask the cancer patient to name their tumor? Do you ask the obese person to name their belly? Do you ask a heroin addict to name their addiction? No, it would be insane, creating split personalities, dissociative disorder. It's not healthy. Oh, but we don't want people to associate, with eating disorders as their identity. Well, why don't you preach that in alcoholism? Why don't you preach it? Because in AA, as far as I know, you have to stand up and say that what you are. You have to stand up and say, I am an alcoholic. You have to declare that as your identity. In AA, and this is what the medical industry pushes forward. So you want people to adopt their illness or addiction as their identity in some cases, but not in the eating disorder cases, because that is the biggest mental illness. Okay. I could say a lot more on this. It's over 20 minutes, and I'm not going to make apologies for me getting upset with this. But this webinar has me so driven to finish this book by the end of the week and put it out. I'm not even waiting for regular publishing. I'm not waiting for the perfection. I'm not waiting for it. I'll put out the 420-something pages. I'll put it out. Because doctors need a reality check. Therapists need a reality check. Nutritionists need a reality check. Parents, siblings, and friends of people in the eating disorders need a freaking reality check, because guess what? It usually is their fault. Eating disorders are a trauma response to abuse. Oh no, I would never abuse my child. Really? Do you take control over your child? Do you allow them autonomy? Do you minimize them incessantly? Do you live vicariously through your child? Have you parentalized your child? Do you expect perfection from your child? Yeah, if you've done any of that, you're the problem. Do you say one thing and do another thing? Yeah, you're the problem. Do you care about what the neighbors think? Yeah, you're the problem. Do you use your kid as a talking point with your friends and with their teachers and, with a sad voice, we care so much? No, you're not empathetic. You're an attention whore. You're the problem. Siblings that are copying the behaviors or acting out in a different way. Oh, you want to blame the eating disorder sufferer? No, it couldn't possibly be the parents and their neglect for giving any of the children attention. It's called triangulation. Pointing at one person as being the problem. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to just stop. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to splash some water on my face, maybe take the dog for a walk. And then I'm going to finish with my book. I'm giving myself to the end of the week. Today's Tuesday. I'll give it till Friday. I will publish it on Saturday. That is it. I am done with this ridiculousness. So, okay, I'll come back hopefully in a better mood. Have a good day. Bye.